pop stuff?
No. The K-pop stuff. That's what we started. That's what we were talking about. We should also mention before we get going, though, that groundnews.com/FiveStack. That is where you get 40% off right now. If you go to groundnews.com, a special offer to all our viewers. We'll tell you more about what Ground News is all about later in the show. But right now, we begin the FiveStack with Dean Blundell and Zev Shalev.
You got to work on your intros, dude. Like you know, like we need some radio 101. I know you're a big time TV producer. I know you're one of Canada's greatest television producers of television programs. I need to run you through the art of the tease, though. The art of the tease, right? Because today we're going to talk. Well, yeah. Today we're going to talk about a couple things, but generally speaking, ladies and gentlemen, on today's FiveStack, 5 of the biggest breaking news stories of the day with myself and my friend Zev Shalev, narrative.org. You can't miss. Anytime you subscribe to narrative.org, deanblundell.substack.com. You might be able to miss there a little bit, but not much, because the through line today is Trump is quickly learning that Iran puts up a bigger fight than a 13-year-old girl.
Well, that's putting it lightly. I mean, there is a lot going on, and that's your tease. The 13-year-old thing is your tease.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, you know, it's a little, it's like a little taster as to what you're going to get today on the FiveStack.
There is a lot of interesting news today, and it does connect to all sorts of things in Middle East. And even though it may not on the surface, we'll show you how all these things do connect later on. A lot of stuff on Epstein, a lot of new information on Epstein. We have information about what happened inside the deposition with Darren Indyke. Yesterday, the accountant for Jeffrey Epstein, huge bombshells coming out of that deposition as well. Plus, you've got a great story coming up where you're going to talk about, well, it's not a great story, it's a terrible story, about what ICE is doing with an autistic child, a Canadian autistic child in custody right now. And we have another story about ICE related to the Epstein story as well, Dean will return in a second, which is all about the other model agency owner, Mr. Zamponi, who you'll all remember. He's a friend of Donald Trump and introduced Melania to Donald Trump. Well, Zamponi is apparently using ICE in all sorts of undue ways in order to, you know, win custody of his child and stuff like that. It's because it's the kind of thing you do if you're in the Trump administration. Nothing but corruption, left, right, and center. It's how they roll.
NBC, nothing but corruption, ladies and gentlemen. The Zamponi story is incredible because it's attached to the world's greatest hooker, by the way, the world's most successful hooker, which is Melania Trump. So we'll have some fun with that.
Oh yeah, is that what that's how you describe her?
That's she is. I mean, name me another former hooker who became the first lady of the most powerful country in the world,
and who has a crypto fortune the size of, you know, anybody. Really, the biggest, one of the biggest crypto
GDP,
fortunes in the world.
Like more than like most countries' GDPs. Name me another call girl. Name me another former Eastern European hooker who's been more successful than her. I know, right? It's hard. I mean,
they really should have told the real story of Melania in the documentary. People would have gone to see it because it is kind of a remarkable sort of pretty woman story. Only there's no saving. It's sort of like damnation in hell because you get to marry Donald Trump. But still, the remarkable turnaround in her life is quite remarkable.
Isn't it crazy? I know, it's unbelievable. And you know what's remarkable is how before meeting her mushroom-dicked prince in shining armor, rapist in shining armor, before meeting the fakest rich guy in the world, by the way, he pretended to be John Barron in a phone call the other day too. Did it again.
Still?
Like he literally, oh yeah.
He
did
really
another
must
John
have
Barron.
dementia. He really does.
He's just fucking crazy. He's just insane. This is John Barron. I'm not Donald Trump. He did it again. But anyway, leave that all aside. She got into the United States via this guy, Paolo Zampoli. We'll talk about him later. And she was with Jeffrey Epstein as part of his harem of young women for a long period of time. And then he passed her off to Donald Trump, and Donald Trump took turns kind of having some fun with her on Lolita Express. He'd come out of the bedroom on the Lolita Express. He's like, what a piece of ass.
Best piece of ass ever. What a great piece of ass. The first lady. Got a great piece of ass.
That's the first lady of the United States of America. The same woman who is like, he was like in a ton of nudes. Like, I mean, and listen, am I Am I a fan of nudes? I don't know.
If it's artistic, sure. Even if it's not
Well,
artistic,
none of these are
you know,
artistic. Like her
you know.
naked on his plane in chain link armor. But whatever, right?
She
That's
was
just
wearing armor in strategic places. She was not completely naked. She had some clothing.
I can't get over the people who are like big Melania fans. Like that, I get the Trump thing because you're like, okay, please be real, please be the chosen one from Jesus Christ, all that other stuff. There's that like little thread of magic with Trump where people are still kind of hanging on for dear life, going, please don't be the pedophile everybody's saying you are. Please let it be true what my pastor said about you, that you're chosen by God to lead us through the end times. Please, please, please. But Melania fans, who are you? Where are you from? Like, she's done nothing. She says nothing. She can't read, doesn't know fucking the English language. She was a hooker, and she just kind of hang in there with the world's greatest pedophile / rapist for the last 25, 30 years. And
she's
you're a Melania fan?
in 7,000 languages, apparently. She can speak every language on planet
Except
Earth.
English.
So, don't denigrate the great first lady and her abilities.
I don't get it. I don't get people that deify politicians, number one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get it when people deify the politician's wife. Number two, I don't care who you are, or politician's husband. I don't care who you are. That Melania stink, like with her running around going, "This is the world's most successful documentary," and seeing people go, "I loved it." I'm like, you gotta be kidding me.
Speaking of Jesus,
she told you a crazy story. Yeah, let's talk about Jesus here.
I don't know if this is real. Is this real? I think it's real. I should double check.
I look for it today. It's a tweet from Donald Trump. I've known Jesus for a long time. He often says, Donald Trump, we're really close friends. And my father is my father is happy that you are making America great again. It's my favorite country. When he saved my ear from the bullet, he whispered in my ear, the one that was saved, and said, the whole world owes you a debt of gratitude for being so Christian and having perfect morals. Looked for this, couldn't find it. Doesn't mean it's not real.
It could not be true, but it's just perfect for what you were just talking about. So I thought I'll throw it in anyhow. Take it with a grain of salt, everybody. Maybe that one is not factual, but worth a mention.
Pass it off as real.
Yeah, it could be. I mean,
but what kind of fucking society and world do we live in where we read that and we're like, I'm not sure if this is real or not.
Yeah, this could be the president. The president could be thinking he's Jesus Christ's friend. I don't know.
I was talking to Jesus the other day when I was praying, and he's like, fuck, you're tough, dude.
Yeah. I mean, I talk to Jesus all the time. He just, his father, everyone.
I do too, especially when I'm really angry. I say all three of his names.
Oh, wow. We won't make you angry today. Let's get into the top 5. This is number 5. After nearly a century on the air, CBS News Radio is dead. Barry Weiss, the opinion journalist turned CBS News editor-in-chief, announced today she's shutting down the radio division Edward R. Murrow built and laying off 6% of the newsroom. 700 affiliated stations have 2 months to find a replacement. They no doubt will in the other part of Barry Weiss's empire, which is CNN. So there's 2 parts to the story. One is she's laying off this incredible number of journalists from CBS, and I'm sure it'll be political. She's also shuttering this great radio service that has been serving Americans for a century. And she's also going to consolidate it with CNN's newsroom, which means there'll be a lot more of the same single-focused propaganda targeting more and more people all through their radio and television diets, no matter where they are. But the big news is she's a death knell to CBS.
She is. Let's back up.
Mm-hmm.
Barry Weiss is a piece of shit. She is widely regarded in news media, print media, digital media as not only a completely unknowledgeable manager of anything, she's a piece of shit as a human being, according to everybody that knows her, and a piece of shit as a boss, and completely fucking out of her realm. And all she is doing is taking direction from David and Larry Ellison, who are taking direction from the Trump regime's media team to consolidate and funnel and contract media in the United States of America, because they cannot predict with any certainty what anybody in the CBS News Radio, it's a century old. Edward R. Murrow started CBS News Radio, and like you don't understand how incredibly fucking sad this is on one level, but how absolutely fucking predictable and engineered it is for someone like Barry Weiss, who is nothing but Netanyahu's lapdog, who is nothing but a mercenary for the Trump regime, for let's just call it the Netanyahu regime. And she is a very, very well paid, do as we say, not as we do fucking executive for CBS News.
Yeah.
And Larry Ellison handpicked her on the advice of one Mr. Benjamin Netanyahu, who, with the state of Israel's treasury, funded the Free Press, funded her exit from Substack, and put her in charge of everything CBS News. Now, you are a former CBS News television show producer. You understand what CBS News Radio is as a service to Americans. Walk me through your thoughts when you saw that today. Schmidt and I talked about it a little bit earlier. Not only is this contraction engineered, and not only is it purposeful to make sure that you can control messaging, but it's also purposeful in terms of controlling the messaging between two assets that they just purchased, which they have completely turned CBS into Fox State News, completely, and they're going to do the same thing with CNN. But from a historic perspective, what happened today as someone who used to work for that once very, very proud brand?
You know, I love my time at CBS, and I love the potential that when I walked into there, I was like, oh my God, I'm working at the Tiffany Network. This is the most incredible honor and privilege in the world. What I found behind those turnstiles was something completely different. But one of the things that really struck me is the CBS News radio operation on 57th Street in Manhattan, when you go down there in the basement. And this was a stalwart of CBS. I mean, this is, if you think about what the benchmark, what the gold standard for what CBS News was about, it was radio. Radio was there first. Radio was the thing that solidified the values as a journalist's values, of CBS News. And it was, not only Murrow, the legendary Edward R. Murrow, but also Walter Cronkite, who served there on radio. It still has some of the best journalists, some of the best radio broadcasters you can imagine, with the nicest voices you can imagine. And every hour they do the news that is basically shared across all of America through 700 affiliates. That's a large number of affiliates, and those affiliates reach a huge number of Americans. So this is a real ending to CBS's news, incredible reach inside the American heartland and the America proper, because those stations were everywhere in America and really, really powerful. So it's killing the reach, and it's killing the authenticity of what CBS News was about. And it's also killing the legacy of what Murrow did and what Cronkite did. And when we think back to those days when Cronkite was the anchor of America, when he was the guy who America turned to every evening to know what was going on during the war, during all sorts of things, Watergate, Kennedy, you think about all those things. Cronkite was larger than life, but he was everyone's trusted person. Everyone loved Walter. Everybody loved CBS News because of that. And she is systematically destroying everything. I mean, she may not be a nasty person. I don't know. You're saying she's a nasty person. I don't know that. I do know that she's not qualified for this position. And the only qualification she has is that she supports Israel and she supports Bibi Netanyahu. And that should be disqualifying for any journalist at CBS News, for any editor-in-chief at CBS News to be wholly adherent to one point of view, to be adherent to the Bibi Netanyahu point of view, is disqualifying, in my opinion. I mean, that's just not what journalism is, and it's not what CBS News is, and it's certainly sad that CBS News Radio is being killed by this person who's not even a journalist,
Yeah, and underqualified to make any decision, like unloading 700 people at CBS News Radio, effectively shutting it down today, killing, news coverage, funneling information through two different legacy silos now into one silo. We know where that messaging is going to go, and we know what's going to happen as a result, right? You get less information. You get the information that the CBS news department and its owners want you to have, and you don't get the information that they don't. And then they've also mitigated any kind of damage that might happen from anybody going off script as part of the CBS News Radio. Anybody that might have some kind of thought pattern that's like, this is wrong, I need to report the truth. Well, you don't have to fucking make that decision anymore, people. You all been fired. There's also sort of a, and I get into this from time to time with people because of my history in radio. Radio is dying, if not dead. Depending on where you are and what you do, nobody listens to the fucking radio anymore. I cannot tell you how many jobs have been offered over the past 6 to 7 years, for sure. In the past 2 to 3, absolutely. In the past year, hey, would you like to come back and do radio? And the answer is always no. Because I can do what I do for me and not for you, and I can make just as much money doing that on my own. Number one, and number two, I don't have to listen to you tell me what to say, or I don't have to run an editorial by you. I don't have to clear an interview. I don't have to clear a conversation. I don't have to clear anything through you. And so, for a guy like me that loved that business, that was in it for a long time, that I think to some extent excelled in that industry, specifically in the city of Toronto, one of the biggest markets in the world, I'm not wide-eyed enough, or I am maybe too wide-eyed actually, to just completely put the blame on Barry Weiss. Is she doing this strategically for messaging purposes to help the, Netanyahu regime, to help the Trump regime? Fuck, absolutely. That's the only reason why she's being hired. But, there's a legitimate derelict kind of dead tech industry called radio that is no longer on demand, that no one gives a shit about anymore. No one reports on it. It is a dead fucking industry, in as much as newsprint is a dead fucking industry. So what does that mean? Dean, you're like, oh, you're letting, Barry Weiss off the hook. No, I'm not.
No, you're not. It's true. Of course it's true. Radio's been, I'm a radio guy too. I grew up in radio. I love radio. It's the best medium in the world. Substack reminds me a lot of radio. Right. The way, the conversations we're having, the free flowing, the authenticity, the connection with your audience, that feels a lot like radio. But, there's that reason radio isn't doing well, but also CBS News has tanked because of the recreation of CBS Evening News, the TV version, under Tony DeCoppel.
Tony's sucking ass. Tony's having a hard time.
3.83 is their average audience. So you're talking million, by the way. This is all Barry Weiss is doing regardless, because it's all one business, right? They all look at the CBS News thing as one business, and they're like, oh shit, we're hemorrhaging money on evening news. We've lost millions of dollars here. We have to cut something. They go and cut CBS Radio because they can't kill the golden calf. And that's what they're doing partially. But, it is sad that radio is having this horrible time, because radio is the best. I mean, especially local radio used to have this connection to its audience and community that just has died around the world. Now we don't have that anymore. We don't have local stations in the same way as we used to.
That's because human behavior's changed, right? Like everything we get is on demand. We don't have to wait for anything. There's no appointment listening, no appointment viewing, and to understand that, you have to understand human behavior. And to understand human behavior and the death of radio, you have to understand, the bureaucracy in legacy media outlets for the past several years has been, 20 years. I remember sitting in a radio meeting and them going, internet's a fad. We're going to be fine. Yeah. Podcasts are a joke. Live streaming, no one's going to listen. You need a brand to stand behind you. Listen, I have to tell you something, and this is the truth, is that I have more subscribers. I do more page views and have more subscribers that pay for this content, that watch this content, that read this content than the National Post here in Canada. That's one of the biggest dailies in Canada. Every day, every single day. And here's the catch. I charge less than they do because I don't give a shit. I'm not in it for that. And you know what? That's the question I would ask you. You look at someone like Barry Weiss, and we can move on after this. Does money even matter to the bottom line of what they're trying to accomplish with this consolidation? Does it really matter to any of these guys? Because I don't think ratings matter. Like you just watched, you talked about Tony DeCoppel and CBS Evening News going from first or second place to dead last, losing more than half their audience.
I mean, they're always sort of dead last, but I hear
you. Well, 8.95 million down to 3. 3 million. I mean,
They've
you know,
lost a lot of
and they're
audience,
like, we don't give a shit. We don't give a shit as long as we control the messaging because we control the purse strings of the government. Like that is the most important thing. And that's kind of, you know, the fucking thinking that has MAGA, has this regime in a position to be able to control the minds of an entire fucking population of the most powerful
That's
country
exactly
in the
right.
world.
That is, this is a battle for hearts and minds.
Mhm.
And what Bibi Netanyahu and Ellison and Barry Weiss are doing are acquiring every avenue to those hearts and minds so they can get their hands on, no matter the price. They're going to consolidate all those vehicles, and you'll only be able to have a TV career in America if you support that point of view in your work. Otherwise, you are not likely to succeed.
Yeah. Chilling effect. We have the same thing here in Canada, and this is the last thing I'll say about this, so we can move on to the next story. The former Prime Minister of Canada, a guy named Brian Mulroney, has a son. Actually, has a couple sons and a daughter. The one son that I've known for 20 plus years. His name's Ben Mulroney. He used to be a really good dude. Really good dude.
I like Ben.
Terrible fucking broadcaster. He is fucking
Does he have a big
awful.
show right now? Ben is great.
Oh
Big
my
show
God, he is so
Chorus or
bad.
something.
He's been shit for like fucking 25 years, and I never had the heart to tell him, Ben, if you're listening, you should have sold shoes or got into politics. You're so fucking bad at this.
He just didn't have the
like
best
a deer
producers
lost
in
in
the
the
world.
headlights. You're like,
Yeah, but if you had better producers, we would never have let him do that. I did Entertainment Tonight Canada up against his E-Talk Daily or E-Talk, whatever it was. So I was the global version, the ET franchise, and he was the local version created by CTV. And we killed him. We killed him on day one. We launched as a surprise.
Oh, you and Cheryl Hickey. Yeah. She was great.
We killed them. We destroyed E-Talk on day one. So we had a friendly rivalry with them. And I love Ben, and I like the people there, and I think they're good people.
Do you? You love Ben, do you?
They need a good producer.
You're so nice. Anyway, listen, I'm honest. He's nice. Ben's a shitty broadcaster. That guy has been given like the king's ransom to go and do an AM like mid-morning radio show on a station nobody listens to here in Canada. And then he was given like this plum television show because I'll tell you what Ben does. Ben washes the balls like Barry Weiss washes the balls. Okay? That's what they do. They wash the balls of their culture, their political culture. And they're like, yes, sir, more balls, sir. Please let me shine those nuts. Let me do it, sir. I'll do anything for the crew and the cabin. I'm a team player. That is Ben fucking Mulroney. And to the point where, listen, I'm telling the truth. You know I'm telling the truth. And so guess what you're going to get on CBS News and CNN? Jake Tapper, say what you want about him. He'll be gone. Everybody of note will be gone. And you're going to get Barry Weiss calling Peter Attia going, hey, listen, I know you're in the Epstein files, but we need you to do a health thing for CNN. Hey, Alan Dershowitz, come on back to CNN.
Alan Dershowitz in prime time.
Yeah, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get all the sycophants, all the people that are willing to, sorry, I know you don't like it when I do this, but wash the balls of the regime and people that they need for a fucking job. Because here's the other thing. This is what Trump understands. This is what Maple MAGA media understands. And this is the truth, is that a guy like Ben Mulroney recently went through a divorce. He's like, fuck, I'm trying to remake myself. How much money do you need to do anything we want you to do? And he's like, all of it. And they're like, no problem. We own you now. That is how this fucking business works. And you know that. And I know that. You're too nice to say it. You're a better person than me.
No,
I'm okay with it.
I am good with you saying it. It's your opinion and it's good. Listen, we're both independent for a reason. We both landed up being independents for a reason. And by the way, I think we're maybe the most successful Canadian talk show out there, to be honest.
We are.
I think
we
so.
are. I don't. And here's the thing. I never talk about it.
Because it's like
we have the biggest Substack show in Canada, or the biggest in North America, one of the biggest on Substack worldwide. And here's the catch. Here's why. Because we're good at this. Ben Mulroney, not good at this. Tony Ducapel, not good at this. I mean, the proof's in the fucking pudding. Ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome for the straight shot into the heart of what the fuck is going on with news media in North America, and I'm more than happy to deliver the goods.
Dean
Guess what? I don't
Blundell.FiveStack.com.
care. You're
Go
welcome.
get him. Go get him. Good for you. At number 4 on the countdown today, after 40 years of marriage, Deborah Staley has filed for divorce from former Barclays CEO Jess Staley. The banker who has been banned from the UK financial industry over his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. And this filing came March 13th in New York, and all documents are sealed. Now, you might think, she finally figured out what her husband is doing, how sad and tragic is all of this. Maybe not so much. It seems that British regulators are investigating all his ties again, thankfully, into Jeffrey Epstein. And Jess Staley may be very, very compromised. Never mind, strike that, is very, very compromised. And Deborah has obviously realized that her assets are at risk. And so Jess realized their assets are at risk. So they're doing a performative divorce, more likely than anything else, in order to separate their assets so she can control them going forward. It's not the first time, but it certainly seems to be what's happening. The good news in all of this is that Staley is finally under the gun. He's finally going to have to pay, it seems, as British regulators, not the American regulators, the British regulators are actually investigating Jess Staley.
What a fucking statement. British regulators are investigating an American banker that did business with Jeffrey Epstein for 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We got lots more Epstein
JP Morgan guy.
Yeah, JP Morgan, Chase, fucking boss, Jess Staley, who's been named as a co-conspirator more than once. Les Wexner's like, Jess Staley for sure.
I mean, they know each other. Jess Staley used to work the L Brands business way back when. You know, he knows all about Wexner. They know each other. They're JP Diamond. They know each other.
Do you know how many women I was actually, prepared for this story, strangely enough, because I did some reading on Jess Staley today after I read the story of his wife doing a performative divorce to protect their assets, because that's what this is.
Mm.
Do you know how many girls / women have accused Jess Staley of sexual abuse?
I know there's many. I don't know the exact number.
38.
And
I counted 38. Okay. I counted 38.
And it's bad stuff. It's bad. It's
the worst.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the worst.
It's not good.
So fuck Jess Staley.
Yep,
and totally. If his wife is protecting him, fuck her too. I hope that the UK government gets to the bottom of this, because that is fucking unbelievable. There are procedural aspects to this, whether it be NDAs, whether it be divorces, that you're going to start seeing in a flurry. Fuck, it would be great to see Melania divorce Trump, huh? Over this whole...
Got to protect her assets. She's got to protect her. She should.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
She should be protecting her assets,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one. Anyhow, let me move on then to a similar Epstein story, because it's all related to what we found out yesterday. There was a huge deposition yesterday with Darren Indyke, the lawyer of Jeffrey Epstein, finally under deposition. Never, ever, ever been asked any questions about his former client, Jeffrey Epstein. Can you believe that? This is the man who handled his finances, his properties, his legal affairs. He finally sat before the House Oversight Committee yesterday and said under oath that he had no knowledge whatsoever of Epstein's crimes. This is impossible. It's blatantly impossible. It's a perjury at the very least. There's absolutely no ways that he and Richard Kahn, the accountant, which we heard from last week, know nothing about the sexual abuse of hundreds of girls and young women that happened across decades, and at all these properties that they manage. So why they're lying, yeah, who knows why they're lying? They could have pleaded the fifth, but they did not. I've got a bunch of clips I want to play from what the Congress people said after and during the deposition, but we have still not seen Richard Kahn's deposition, and I don't know if we're going to see all of this deposition. But in the meantime, it's worth noting that we're not the only people who think that there's a perjury potential here. Here's Congressman Min. Actually,
Dave Min.
Know what?
Yeah.
You just say something while I pull it up here.
No, Dave Min came out in the middle of this whole thing, and he's like, I'm a lawyer. That guy just perjured the shit out of himself. And then every single Democrat, as this whole thing kind of proceeded, started to have the same realization that it is impossible for Epstein's lawyer of 20 years, who signed off on signed off on settlements to hundreds of victims, even during the estate process at the end of Jeffrey Epstein's shitty, miserable, pedophilic life. It is not possible for his chief accountant, a guy named Richard Kahn, to say, oh, yeah, we paid off a bunch of chicks, paid off a bunch of women, including we paid off a woman that you're asking about, Jane Doe number 4, on behalf of Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump. And then for his fucking chief counsel to come in a week and a half later and say, yeah, that's not true. He tried to walk it back. He tried to walk back his accountant's statement and then tried to say, yeah, is my name on countless NDAs with countless amounts of girls, women, their families, payments totaling $250 to $280 million, which you're not talking about. Yeah, no, I don't know anything about that. Is my name on that? Yeah, but I mean, I know nothing. This isn't perjury. This is not just perjury. This is fucking flat out lying. This is flat out lying about what this man helped Jeffrey Epstein get away with for 20 years. There's a picture of Darren Indyke. Very hard to find pictures of Darren Indyke. I need everybody to go to...
Got some yesterday, finally. But
DeanBlundell.substack.com. You can see a picture of Darren Indyke, and it literally looks like he just left his basement masturbation chamber.
Yeah, that's
like
the guy.
He's got the collars, and he's all fucking disheveled, and he's all fucked up, and his... ladies, you know how to look. Don't look at Darren Indyke. Don't ask for a picture. Google won't be kind to Darren Indyke.
It's really hard to find.
My God.
It's important. I found the first picture of Darren Indyke when I was doing some research 6 years ago, and that was it. Afterwards, it was all the same. And I think the thing that that indicates to me is there's some very powerful forces working behind the scenes to scrub the internet of all the likenesses, of all the photos, of all these key individuals. And just, what Darren Indyke said yesterday, the truth is that I did not know what Mr. Epstein did after hours behind closed doors and in places where I was not present. He said all these allegations are 100% untrue. So either they're untrue or you do not know, but they can't possibly be both of those things at the same time. This is what Congressman Min had to say right after that.
In California 47, and I'm an attorney, a former law professor, had the chance to ask a few different lines of questions earlier with Mr. Indyke. And I have to say I'm very surprised that he did not take the Fifth Amendment. I think it's very likely he perjured himself over and over and over again. And just to give you a few examples, I'm not going to go into detail, but he claimed, and I think this is in the statement you all received, that he had no knowledge of any women or girls, and yet that doesn't account for the fact that numerous women have described how he helped them fix their problems. One woman had described how he had helped her get an apartment. He helped women with their immigration issues. He reportedly told a number of women not to talk to police when the police started investigating Epstein. It's just not credible to claim that you had no knowledge of what was happening. I asked, among other things, about the $725,000 that he withdrew in cash at the maximum level of $75 to $100 per withdrawal. That doesn't trigger federal reporting. He couldn't describe what that was for, just kind of, again, claim no knowledge and don't want to get into the details. You'll read the transcript, but this is just not credible. What is also really something that is incredible is that the FBI and Department of Justice had never interviewed Mr. Indyke or Mr. Khan, even those people were central figures in the Epstein files and the scandal around the rapes, the human trafficking, and all that. And I just want to applaud Robert, Jasmine, Summer Lee, who's not here with us, because it's under their leadership that we are moving forward right now. And I think what has become crystal clear over the course of these last few depositions is that these people are going to lie to us over and over and over. Mm-hmm. And what is really important is that we get the documents, because the documents are the things that can actually show us what actually happened here. I suspect he's going to give a few more hours of saying how he knows nothing in defiance of actual evidence showing he knew a lot. I think he, again, is perjuring himself. If I was advising him, I'd tell him to take the Fifth Amendment, because I believe he's guilty of perjury. But with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Walkinshaw.
We can stop there, but it's,
Wow.
It is what it is.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. They're lying. Every single one of them is lying. There's still a cover-up in place. and it's getting worse and worse and worse all the time.
Well, keep in mind, this is the same day that Pam Bondi was like, I'm not taking your dumb oath.
Yeah. Subpoena me? What? No.
Subpoena me? Of all
Not me.
people, I'm
Pam.
like totally innocent of everything. I can't believe it. Reid Hoffman.
Yeah. That's what Donald Trump does every single time.
Reid Hoffman.
It's Bill Clinton,
Bill
Summers,
Clinton.
Reid Hoffman. That's all they can
Fucking
say. But, there are so many missing files and there's so many missing documents, and these people are lying through their teeth. I am right now writing The Greatest Heist, Chapter 9 in Book 2, which has, I thought I wouldn't be writing, but here we are. The Epstein files provided so much voluminous new details about what was going on with Jeffrey Epstein in the 2008 crash, and Howard Lutnick and Donald Trump and the Rothschilds and a whole list of people that's going to come out. And it is mind-blowing. It is mind-blowing how even if they haven't given us any of the evidence they thought they were going to, if they probably blocked out 99% of the evidence around what happened in 2008, what they have given us is already bombshell worthy. And I'm going through that in The Greatest Heist.
Please let us know. I want to make sure everybody gets into the Greatest Heist series. If you haven't, 2 books already available at narrative.org. My friend Zev Shalev is on the tip and has been for 10 years. Cannot, stress that enough to people. But the one thing I want to tell everybody, and I think it's important, real quick, if I could pimp some things that I think everybody needs to kind of be aware of. Very, very well aware that we are now in this kind of weird place where it comes to the Epstein files, to the point where Donald Trump is now committing, this happened today, and I think it's really important that everybody knows this, 8,000 troops, boots on the ground to Iran. 8,000 troops.
One story, but it's good that we're, did that just happen? Did the commitment
No, tease it. Yeah. Like
okay.
8 in an unwinnable situation. We'll get there. But if you wanted to know how serious Donald Trump is about getting out from underneath this whole pedophile conversation, the rape conversation, the Epstein files cover up, Epstein files conversation, he's willing to sacrifice 8,000 men and women from the United States of America so you don't see it.
Just the start.
Keep that in mind. Yeah.
And just to not to put a fine point in this, but it is important to remember that Epstein worked for Israel and Epstein worked for Russia. So the fact that we are at war, sort of at the behest of Israel, at the behest of Bibi Netanyahu, is important, because the reason Donald Trump is in power is partially because of Jeffrey Epstein. And we're still going to get to that revelations. Those revelations are still coming up, but it's just the truth. This network of Israeli, Russian operatives and mafia figures, and call them what you will, these, let's call them the deep state if you want, who have consumed the presidency and the executive branch, now have taken it and are weaponizing our military against their enemies. They're our enemies too, but they're not, not the same priority. And for sure, that is what's going on right now. So there's a direct connection between Epstein, Trump, and Bibi Netanyahu and this war in Iran right now. That's not disconnected at all. Speaking of Epstein, the number 2 story is what we spoke about earlier on. The New York Times reported today that Paolo Zampoli, the man who introduced Donald Trump to Melania, a former modeling agent turned presidential special envoy, because that's what you do with modeling agency CEOs. Now he's used his White House connections to get ICE to detain and ultimately deport the mother of his child during a custody battle. Zampoli learned his Brazilian ex-girlfriend Amanda Ngara was in a Miami jail on fraud charges last June. They were fighting over custody of their teenage son. So he saw the opportunity and seized it. He reached out to David Venturella, a top ICE official, and explained that his ex-wife was in the country illegally and asked for help. Sure enough, Venturella personally called the Miami office to make sure ICE picked her up before she was released on bail. The corruption is insane. I mean, but this whole story, is so seedy. It's so gross. It's like,
well, it's only gross if you understand the backstory of who this man is.
Yeah, tell us the backstory.
I can't wait. Thank you, Zeph. I appreciate you asking me that question. Paolo Zampoli, interesting figure in history. Paolo Zampoli is R.I.P. Jean-Luc Brunel, Jeffrey Epstein's bestie, a recruit into the modeling recruitment world via Jean-Luc Brunel, who hung himself in a French jail. If you remember the story, true story. Paolo Zampoli was responsible, singularly responsible. I'm going to go back to the world's most successful hooker for this conversation, Melania Trump. He brought Melania Trump in from Europe into the Epstein world and gave her to Jeffrey Epstein. Here you go. Here's a gift. Melania Trump. Here you go. She's so cute. Look at her. She's 17, going to be 18 soon. Huh? What do you think? Epstein's like, sold. I'll take her. So he purchases Melania Trump from
Purchases. I mean, that is the right word.
Purchases her from Paolo Zampoli. Human trafficking. Hi, how you doing? Purchases her from Paolo Zampoli. And Paolo Zampoli then becomes this really important conduit of hot babes, underage babes, babes over the age of 19, but barely, really questionable young women from the Eastern Bloc into the United States, from Italy into the United States, from all countries in the Eastern Bloc, the Euro Bloc, into Florida, into New York, into California, as part of the Epstein sex trafficking ring.
Right.
So we lose track of Paolo Zampoli for years. He comes back. He's got Mar-a-Lago face a few years ago. And today, guess what he does? He is legitimately on Donald Trump's presidential envoy team, given this plum position, which also comes with something we like to call legal cover, so that nobody can ask him questions, nobody can talk to him. He's effectively a U.S. diplomat now. Like everybody around Donald Trump involved in the Epstein files is also been given some type of cover. Jared Kushner, peace envoy.
It's crazy that these people aren't, unprosecutable. They're just going to get away with anything. Right? They're using their powers in order to revenge their own personal demons. I mean, this is not the way government works. It's certainly not the way government works here. It may work like this in Russia, but it's not how you do business.
Dude, it works like that in the United States now, too. And let me just kind of prove a point to you, because this is going to be very important for everybody to understand going forward. Donald Trump, as I've said on this show, has surrounded himself with people who are impugned by Russia, impugned by the Epstein files. That's it. Israel, Russia, Witkoff, Zampoli, Netanyahu, everybody around Donald Trump is and stands to lose. Lutnick stands to lose as much as he does. So what better way to protect yourself than to bring all of those people into these positions that grants them diplomatic immunity from any kind of prosecution, specifically when one of those guys is responsible for making the first lady the world's most successful hooker? Not sure if anybody's ever seen the movie Melania. Another word, phrase / name that gets tossed around for the Melania movie: make, fuck, get green card. Thanks to my boy Steve Schmidt.
Let me just pause on that, because
that's what this is.
Melania gets in on this, and I think it's under Epstein models, on a genius visa, right? This was a thing that they used. I had one. I got one to move to the United States. It's kind of difficult to get, actually. You need to get a whole lot of people to say, you're doing work at an extraordinary level, and therefore you should be allowed to come into the United States and take someone else's job. The Melania was obviously not that. I mean, Melania is probably...
By the way, there's one of two people who's been considered a genius by the United States of America in this podcast. Not me. It's that guy.
Yes, well, that tells you what the United States is thinking, but they also thought of Melania the same way. But the thing, Melania gets this... She comes out of Russia, and a lot of these visas, we found out later, a lot of the people surrounding Epstein that came out of Russia were getting visas from Sergei Belyakov's Ministry of the Economy, which he's a former FSB guy, and he was the one co-signing and sponsoring, saying, "Hey, this person, she's an outstanding person in our country, and therefore deserves to come and work in the United States as a model because she's achieved so much success in Russia, as if that were possible in the modeling industry there." But this is, such a scam that these guys were running. Some of it was engineered through E equals MC squared, what's called MC2 was the name of the modeling agency that Brunel ran. And guess what their key offices were? Their key offices were in Tel Aviv. So what you have is a pipeline of Russian and Eastern European models of genius level who find their way, maybe laundered through Israel so they can get those visas all the way into America, and then operating clearly still as spies when they're here. If you've ever seen video of how well Putin and Melania get along well with each other in a dinner, you will be surprised at how close they are and how friendly they were and how communicative they were. It was not the first time they'd met, and they certainly have had communication since. There's a familiarity there that Melania doesn't have with anybody. She's so cold most of the time. So for her to have that with Vladimir Putin, and the fact that she came in here on that visa via one of these modeling agencies which was famous for laundering these visas, boy, it just says, just on the first surface of it, on the data point version of this, Russian spy. That's what I see. I see Russian spy.
Red Sparrow, dude.
Yeah.
Red Sparrow. That's all I see too. And the crazy part is how quiet she's been. I think a lot of people will look at Melania and go, leave her alone. She's just, she's this poor Eastern European woman who made good on her promise to come to America, who became the first lady. She's a hooker. I mean, she's an Epstein hooker. She's a spy. She's a call girl. She's all of the things that the pejoratives that you see get tossed around. They're all real. They are all real. Do you know how many times I've seen tweets where it's like, my wife Melania spoke to President Putin about the children today 4 times, and you're like, wasn't about the children. And guaranteed, all you're doing is you're providing cover for your wife, who fucking probably talked to her manager, her boss, her fucking FSB
handler, her handlers.
Day.
I mean, that's what they get. These guys are all phoning in information. So did his previous wife, Ivana. I mean, went through her father, through the Czech spy agencies. This guy's being
Wait a
raised
second. Are you
inside
saying
the Russian.
That he's been married to 2 Eastern Bloc hot chicks?
I am saying that it's unusual that he only found these Eastern Bloc women to marry him. I mean, he's a jerk, and yet he always seemed to gravitate towards these Eastern European women with ties to Russian intelligence. Is that weird? It's weird. Same thing with Epstein. His girlfriend at his death also connected to Belarusian, intelligence agencies through her dad. Maybe it's coincidence. Maybe all these people are just coincidentally attracted to spies, but
maybe
there are spies.
Maybe, maybe not.
Maybe not. So which brings us to the number 1 story. Is this the number 1 story? I think we're in number 1.
Yeah.
No, number 2. Sorry,
number 2.
No, you know what it is? The second story at number 2, because I don't want to miss the story because it's so important. Is the story about this autistic girl who is currently in custody by ICE. It's such a huge story at deanblundell.substack.com. If you haven't seen the story and you haven't shared it, please go and do it right now. A lot more attention needs to get paid to the story. And Dean, tell us more about it. It's such a good one. I mean, good one. I keep saying good, but it's awful.
No, it's a terrible story, but it's a good story because it kind of lets people into the impunity of the Trump regime, I would say. I think that's a good word. 7-year-old girl, Ayala Lucas is her name. She's autistic, and this broke my heart. As a father, I'm going to get emotional talking about this story. As a father, as someone who loves their children, to know that ICE detained a 7-year-old Canadian girl with autism and threw her in one of those cages in the facility in McAllen, Texas, whose mother has no criminal record. She has no criminal record. The crime that they committed was, being common law and intending to marry an American dude. And so, they're in the country illegally. Canada is not intervening. And this caught my attention because of the humanity involved in this.
Why is Canada not intervening?
It's a great question. I'm going to get into kind of the bio of this beautiful young girl. And as a parent, it crushes me to think about the loneliness or the sadness or the fear in this young girl, and when you have autism and you understand anything about autism, you understand that those thought patterns, those processes don't work the same way, where you can't just repair that PTSD. You can't just, wish it away.
Yeah. Scarring for life.
7-year-old girl, Canadian autism. She is currently in the Rio Grande Valley Central Processing Center near McAllen, Texas. The rest of the world knows this facility as Ursula. It's kind of this weird mylar wrapped space blanket. Everybody's sleeping on the floors. She has been subjected to 24-hour lights, noise, overcrowding, the kind of sensory chaos that an autistic person just can't deal with. Been there since Saturday. Mom, Tanya Warner, Canadian citizen, British Columbia. She's been legally living in the United States for 5 years. Her social security documentation lists her status as lawful alien allowed to work. She's got a Texas driver's license. She has a work visa. She has an actual visa. And she also has a green card. Her husband, Edward Warner, American citizen, ICE locked them both up anyway. Both of these beautiful people. And listen, I'm not here to debate the ideology of Tanya Warner. I'm here to advocate on behalf of her because she's Canadian. And this beautiful little girl who this just breaks my heart. Look at that picture.
It's heartbreaking. It's really sad.
The family wasn't doing anything suspicious. They were just crossing the border legally. And Edward was asked for his ID. She showed her Texas driver's license, her work visa. Everything was cool. And then they took her inside for routine fingerprinting. She never came out. 20 minutes later, they took her daughter in. They fingerprinted her. Daughter never came out as well. The husband, Edward, told a Canadian news outlet that it's scary, frustrating, and he's petrified because he has no idea what's going on. This is the real world application of ICE. This is the real world application of fascism. This is the real world application of the lack of any fucking due process in the United States of America. Now, this is one of, and this is a 77,000 square foot facility. This is one of, if I'm not mistaken, 40 Canadian children that have been detained. This is one of thousands and thousands of children who have been detained in McAllen and across the United States of America.
40 Canadian children?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. There are 40 Canadian children. And I will say this, as much as I appreciate Mark Carney and we gloss over, real life situations for better policy, for the protection of Canada, where is Mark Carney today?
Mm-hmm.
Where is my government today for that beautiful young girl and her family and the 40 other Canadian children who are currently in ICE facilities? I have not heard a fucking word from my government. I am a big Mark Carney fan. I am. He has values and virtues, and I cannot speak to conversations that are going on behind the scenes between Canadian officials and U.S. officials, but I've made some phone calls and I haven't heard anything. This is my embarrassment today. This is my anger today, is this picture of this beautiful little girl. And her fear right now. I don't know that fear. I know fear.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I think about that kind of fear in a mind that is neurodivergent, I get this I get this sadness that can't be explained. And so I will call on my government today, my Canadian government, to do something for this young lady. And I would ask that everybody sends this to Mark Carney, to the Canadian government. Wherever you see this, I don't care where you see it. I don't care about the intellectual or strategic political leanings of her mom, her family. I don't care. Get this young girl home.
Mm-hmm.
Get this young girl home.
Dad. Look, just because they're not doing anything publicly, does not mean they're not doing anything. I've been in a situation involving, a similar kind of situation, and there's often extraordinary amounts of work being done by the diplomatic corps, and by parliamentarians and by officials on the ground that we're not going to be hearing about, because these things are best resolved when they're not overly publicized. According to, people have been in situations like that. But this is a different situation, obviously. this requires very, very urgent
But if we're
attention.
listen, let me just say this. I understand that. I got space and time and patience for that. I do.
Mhm.
But if we're not drawing attention to this as a country,
Oh, we have to.
if we're not holding this up as an example as to why you should not go to the United States of America if you have children, if we are not doing our due diligence for the rest of our people by, enacting that duty to warn with this example and then doing every fucking thing we can to bring that little girl home, then we have failed. We have failed.
And look, this is also an indictment on this regime. And this is a regime as well that is connected to human trafficking of young girls. The idea that you will entrust this regime with the ability to even, abduct, really is the right word to use, young children who are being moved across the border to their parents is so criminal. It's so beyond the pale. And it's so, this is not the highest morality example of government that we have. This is the lowest. These are people the president himself has been incredibly accused of child abuse.
Yeah.
And so we can't allow this criminal, the husband of the former head of Homeland Security is involved in a corruption ring, apparently involving ICE. Are we really saying that this organization is trustworthy enough to be taking 7-year-old kids away from their parents and throwing them into a mass detention center? And then we hope for what? We hope that they're going to come out unscathed, because that's not possible.
No.
These kids are going to come back, if not psychologically damaged for the rest of their lives, if not physically damaged for the rest of their life, they were certainly going to feel the impact of this for the rest of their lives. This is not the kind of thing anyone can imagine going through and not surviving without any harm, especially if you're autistic, especially if you're neurodivergent. I mean, there is so much, precious about neurodivergent people, and we've begun to realize so much about them. But there's also a lot of fragility around that, and what's happening to this girl is just obnoxious and an abomination. You just can't get beyond it. It's just horrific.
No, I can't. I can't get beyond this. There have been very few things, and you know what? I'm grateful for it, to be honest with you, Zev. I'm grateful for, the emotional wellspring that comes from this, right? Because, you and I motor through stories that should crush people, and this thing crushed me. And unless you're a parent, you don't understand it. You might, and I give you credit for that if you do. If you're not a parent, is that there's an innocence with a child. There's this perfection with children and dogs and puppies. By the way, I love dogs and puppies. That you can't find anywhere else, and to watch people ruin that perfection, that innocence. And I feel the same way about anybody who's a pedophile, anybody and this is my anger. This is my anger. This is my frustration. This is where it comes out, is knowing that there are people out there who are willing to abuse children. When that should be our only goal, is to protect them, is to protect their peace of mind, their sanity, their freedom, their kindness, their empathy, their love, all the things that makes a child, a dog, this innocence, this thing that we don't understand because we've been tainted. That's the only thing that should matter to us as a society, is protecting the next generation and giving them an opportunity to succeed, to feel confident, happy, to go forward, to carry the message of humanity before them, that treated them with regard, kindness, love, empathy, all the things that really matter, courage, wisdom, temperance, justice, all the things that really fucking matter. And to see this, and to not hear my government make a statement about it, to not hear and watch my government, knowing that there's 39 more of her in these ICE detention facilities, and there's so many other Canadians that are there. And yeah, do I believe that everybody should be allowed to make their own mistakes? And are there people, in Canada, from Canada, that are in ICE facilities that should, be there? Maybe. I don't know. I don't have the minutia of each one of those cases. Hey,
Speaking of
she's
puppies.
not listening. She's not listening. But at the very basis of who we are, there's a humanity that should exist that is gone in the United States of America, that is currently caging children, including this beautiful Canadian girl. And they have my attention. I just am really concerned that they don't have my government's attention. I'm really concerned that Mark Carney is more interested in other things today than this beautiful girl. And that bothers me.
And I hope that's not the case, but certainly your emotions and your appeal here are going to be heard across the Canadian government and across Canada and into the United States, where so much of our audience is watching. And you know, Ayala Lucas is her name. She's 7 years old. She's in custody right now of ICE. She has to be released. She has to get back to her parents. And it's time for both of these governments to stop acting like kids don't matter. These kids matter. They matter. Everyone matters, of course, but these kids matter a lot as they're in custody right now.
Yeah, they matter more than us. I mean,
Yeah.
we fucked it up. They haven't fucked anything up. They haven't done anything. Yeah, dude, I'm good. I'm good. I mean, I'm just, you know, I get emotional about the things that matter, and this matters to me. You know, and it should matter to everybody else. So the fact that it doesn't concerns me, and the fact that it doesn't concern my government really makes me fucking want to do things. And so I'm going to go do those things. And I hope everybody else does those things, whether you're in Canada, whether you're in America. You know, there are going to be things that connect with you. Don't be afraid of those things. Lean into those things and go and affect change where you can. And I can tell you this, as someone that has means, someone that knows people, someone that has access, I'm going to make a difference for that girl. You know, and every Canadian that has been caught up in this whole thing. And it doesn't matter what you've done. And I know some people deserve it. Like, I get it. I get that part. I get that there are some bad Canadians that are in ICE custody that deserve to be in ICE custody. I get that. But a 7-year-old girl with autism?
No way she did anything to anybody deserved being there. No ways. Do you want to go let the dog out, or should we do the number one story? Or
numero uno, dogs downstairs.
Number one story is 3 weeks into a war. Where is it? Here we go. 3 weeks into a war Congress never authorized. The United States is putting boots on the ground in the Middle East. Right. President Trump and, not so coincidentally, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu have both confirmed that troop deployments are underway with 2,500 Marines and 20 F-35B fighter jets heading to the Gulf. We reported on this over a week ago. We told you this was going to happen. It's happening. And Trump made a stunning admission, earlier on, saying after killing Iran's entire leadership, he now says, well, there's no one to talk to. There's no one left to negotiate. And then he said, I like that. I like that I have no one to negotiate with, meaning that he lied his way through almost everything else. But, what's stunning is Benjamin Netanyahu, who, in all his gall, finally appeared in public yesterday or today, I'm not sure, confirming he's very much still alive, and made the announcement for Americans in some ways. Let's take a listen.
Said that you can't win, you can't do revolutions from the air. That is true. You can't do it only from the air. You can do a lot of things from the air, and we're doing, but there has to be a ground component as well. There are many possibilities for this ground component, and I take the liberty of not sharing with you all those possibilities.
Yeah, many possibilities. Did you know we were doing a revolution? Did you know, America, we were doing a revolution, apparently, in Iran? That's apparently what we're doing. I thought we were there to deal with nuclear arms, but apparently, no.
I thought it was a revolution. I thought it was a holy war. I mean, depending on so many excuses, so little time. Listen, let me explain to you the significance of that announcement, what Trump didn't announce, what Netanyahu was announcing on behalf of the United States government.
It's crazy.
Which should fucking drive y'all crazy. Is that USS Boxer Amphibious Ready Group, Boxer USS Portland, USS Comstock departed San Diego March 18th. Ahead of its originally scheduled deployment window, the Boxer ARG carries approximately 2,500 Marines from Camp Pendleton. The 11th Marine Expeditionary Unit bring a total personnel up to about 4,000 sailors on those 3 ships. Now, They're also linking up with the USS Tripoli Group, already transitioning from Japan with the Okinawa base 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit, another 2,200 Marines, plus around 2,000 sailors, totaling around 4,200 to 4,400 personnel. Once the groups merge, the 6 amphibious units will now have added roughly 8,000 service members to a region where about 50,000 U.S. troops are already deployed. 58,000 U.S. troops. 58,000. So that number for a 5-mile island called Karg Island. Okay? Keep this in mind. This is very important because my friend Malcolm Nance, my boy Malcolm Nance, Black Man Spy, follow him. We're going to get him on the show this week. Posted this right after that announcement. It's official. They're fucking winging this. Let me explain. This was scheduled for April deployment, 22 days to get at max speed to get to the Pacific, to get into the war theater. It's going to take 22 days, 30 days at average cruising speed. So clean up or back up for an unplanned amphibious campaign. No one knows. They're just fucking going with it. They have no idea what they're doing. And here's the catch. Iran's been waiting for this for 47 years. 1988. The United States military, after being mined by an Iranian drone, took out half of the Iranian Navy. So do you know what Iran did? You know what Iran did in 88? They're like, okay, we need to make sure we control the Strait of Hormuz. So what we need are thousands upon thousands of speedboats and people that are willing to die in those speedboats. And we need thousands upon thousands of missile batteries in the mountains. And keep in mind, Iran is not like any other country. That country is a mountainous range that literally the mountains end at the ocean.
No one wins wars against Iran. Nobody.
Nobody. And so what Donald Trump is saying here is we're going to send 58,000 troops to the Strait of Hormuz that we in no way have any way of traversing to get to Karg Island, which is another 20 to 24-hour fucking sailor journey from the Strait of Hormuz to Karg Island. And then we're going to take it once we get there. There are 3,200 U.S. tankers, super tankers, oil tankers from around the world, 3,200 currently blocking the Strait of Hormuz because, great question, thanks for asking, Iran has air superiority in the entire region. And they have batteries, they have missiles, they have Scuds, they have things that we have not even thought about that they have been fucking installing in this region for the better part of fucking 50 years. And Donald Trump thinks he's going to send 58,000 people. It will be as one former U.S. general put today, it will be a suicide mission. And Don and his entire family do not have any fucking skin in the game.
It's a death trap. It really is. And there's no other way to look at it. They can't win this war. Even though he keeps claiming he's winning, he keeps claiming he's won. If he's won, why not pull out then, Donald? Why are you still there? Why are you still pouring more troops into the region? Why can you still not open the Straits of Hormuz? It's only because you haven't
cowards
won.
for not helping, by the way. You called us cowards today. NATO's cowards. You haven't helped.
Meanwhile, Canada says it'll help with the Straits a little bit, they've said. The other thing that struck me about Bibi's press conference, we'll play this and then we'll end the show. He is justifying or feeding, I don't know what you would call this. He is framing Donald Trump's hatred for Iran himself. This is not Donald Trump speaking for himself. This is Bibi Netanyahu speaking for Donald Trump.
That President Trump, 47 years ago, when the Iranian thugs took over the American embassy, he said how dangerous this regime is. It is often said that you can't do revolutions from the air.
Sorry, it's the wrong one. It replayed the other one. Sorry. Let me try that again.
These lunatics have
I'm sorry. I screwed up all that.
One of the ways you know that
anyhow, he speaks for
this whole.
He speaks for. Do you want to hear it? Do you still want to hear it?
Yeah, I kind of do. Like now we're at the point of no return where I'm like, I need to hear this clip.
All right, let's. I think this is it. Let's see.
I hope so.
He said the Iranian nuclear deal was the worst deal that he'd ever seen, and he walked out of it. Right before his second term, before he was reelected, I went to see him in Mar-a-Lago. The first thing he said to me was, Bibi, we've got to make sure that Iran doesn't have nuclear weapons. He said that to me.
Sure, he did not say that.
He didn't need any convincing there either. Now, why did he say that? Because for more than 4 decades, this regime, as I said in the beginning of my remarks, is chanting death to Israel, death to America. But they say Israel is only the small Satan standing in their way. The great Satan is the United States of America. And these ideological fanatics, these lunatics, define their raison d'etre, their reason for being, is wiping out Western civilization and America that leads it.
That is what Donald Trump, Bibi Netanyahu wants you to believe Donald Trump thinks. I mean, that is just not, even if it is what Donald Trump thinks, it's complete bullshit. Iran is not dedicated to wiping off the United States off the face of the earth and destroying Western civilization. They just are not. Maybe they are now. They were not before.
They are now.
This is, propaganda. This is operational. This is Bibi talking to the people around Donald Trump so they feed him this information. It's him rewriting history on behalf of Donald Trump. And it's him speaking for the United States of America at a time of war to the world, which should just be galling for anybody. Who is this guy to speak on behalf of the American leader? Who is he? Why is he speaking on behalf of the president of the United States? If the president of the United States feels this way,
off the
he can say
Groypers,
so.
dude. It's going to piss off the Groypers.
Yeah,
right.
It's going to piss off the Groypers. It's going to piss off the Groypers. It's also going to get the right message to Trump himself, so he knows what to say. It gets him positioned around the entire propaganda machine that the Israelis have in North America, so they know what to say. This is why, we're going back to the beginning of the show, why Barry Weiss has taken over CBS News, and why that is going to be another place that they push Bibi Netanyahu's messaging. And you might think is it that serious that CBS News is not run by the Israelis? That's why it's serious. It's because Bibi is speaking on behalf of the president of the United States, and that messaging is going to be landing up in every home, in every car, in any drive home, everywhere you go, and you get CBS News. That is why this is so pernicious, what Israel and Trump and company, I should say Bibi, Trump and company, are doing along with Russia to America right now. It's really dangerous.
Great word, pernicious. Listen, kids. Really simple way to explain this to all of you. Okay? This is a playground fight. And you've got one guy inventing a story with another guy to try and help everybody else in the playground to get in the fight. Get in the fight. We got to take care of this. It's not our fucking problem. This was taken care of a long time ago. This was taken care of by Obama. This was taken care of by smarter people. This was taken care of. Now you have chaos. You have the biggest LNG oil field in the world on fucking fire in Kuwait. Southpaws, it is on fucking fire. They will never be able to fucking get back up to their output to keep the rest of the world's energy on, keep the lights on, keep your stoves going. Never. And you know who did that? Donald Trump. This was in a fucking box. There is no imminent threat from Iran. None, zero. There was no imminent threat from Iran. Zero. This is a holy war predicated on stupidity, and it will always be that, and you will always remember it as that. And what we're telling you here today, every one of these stories, believe it or not, is a good news story, because if they put boots on the ground, and they will get massacred. Now, why is that a good news story? Dean, that's terrible. You're like, no, I don't want anything bad for anybody. I don't want Americans to die. I don't want allied countries to die. I do not. But if Donald Trump puts boots on the ground on Karg Island, those 20 to 25, which is probably closer to 50 to 100 dead service members at this point, and hundreds injured, not just 175, 180, it's hundreds severely injured. That's going to go into the thousands. Your daughters, your sons, they're going to sacrifice themselves to hide the Epstein files. They're going to sacrifice themselves to help foreign countries hide from the Epstein files and help the president of the United States hide from the Epstein files. There's a reason why this is not just commonly known now, but operationally known by other countries as Operation Epstein Fury, because that's what this is. Now they're going to put boots on the ground. My God, ladies and gentlemen of the United States of America, you have an opportunity in about 200 days, 200 days to fucking take it all back. I certainly hope you do.
And it's not coincidence, by the way, and well said. It's not coincidence that this is Operation Epstein Fury. It should not surprise anybody that Epstein was working for the Israelis. What a convenient thing to have blow up in front of the president of the United States when you need him to do something dramatic, like join you in a war with Iran. Let's leave it there. That is the FiveStack today. It's some good stuff on deanblundell.substack.com, including video of the president of the United States
Ass grabbing.
ass grabbing the Secret Service person in his office.
Did you see that today?
I
Oh
saw
my
it.
fucking God.
It's too much.
He
So
sexually
awful.
assaulted a fucking female Secret Service officer walking out of
It
the
feels
Oval
so
Office.
uncomfortable. You could just read the discomfort. You could feel this whole thing on
Well,
captured
I
on
mean,
camera.
yeah. And
Oh.
at what point do you go, oh, that's sexual assault? It's after the first 10 taps on the butt and then the butt rub. Ladies and gentlemen, go to deanblundell.substack.com. If you wondered if President Trump is senile or taking advantage of senility or both, leave nothing to the imagination. There's a story there with video that was sent to me by someone from the Oval Office who's like, do you want to put this up? Because this is crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's Donald Trump literally ass grabbing a Secret Service officer when she walks out of the Oval Office.
That's what
So
it looks
please
like.
go and check that out. Yeah, if you needed like some kind of connector to Donald Trump possibly being a total and complete fucking degenerate pervert.
What's his
There you
favorite
go.
expression? What a great piece of ass. He
Great
loves
piece
that
of
expression.
ass.
What a great piece of
Piece
ass.
of ass. Yeah.
Find out exactly what the president is doing with his Secret Service staffers. It is so beyond the pale. It is disgusting. Go to deanblundell.substack.com for that story. At narrative.org, coming up, hopefully, as soon as I'm finished, I'm not going to give you an exact date. Maybe it's later today. There is.
Come on. What do you got? Hold yourself
Chapter
accountable.
9 of The Greatest Heist, Book 2 is mind-blowing because, I thought I'd wrapped up this whole thing. Epstein triggered the 2008 crash. Then came the Epstein files. And inside the Epstein files is so much evidence, really important evidence tying Howard Lutnick to the 2008 crash, the current Commerce Secretary, by the way, and the Rothschilds to the 2008 crash, and Donald Trump to the 2008 crash. And I'm going to start unpacking it. Maybe more than one chapter. There's so much here. It's just, it's mind blowing is all I can say. Sometimes I think I must be seeing things. I must be making connections that are not wrong. I've read through so many LLMs, like saying, red team this, fact check it, just make sure that I'm not doing something completely crazy here. Everything checks out. And, it's because it's real. It's real. It's real. That is it.
Well, when you've been following it for 10 years, you get a bit of a sniffer. That's what I'm saying. So thank God for you. Thank you for everything you do at narrative.org. Everybody go and follow my friend Zev Shalev, narrative.org. Please go and do that right now. Give him a sub. Make sure you hit that. If you got a minute, go to deanblundell.substack.com. Give us a sub. Listen, paid subs get this information, this content to the top of the algorithm. Free subs, same thing. But more importantly, share.
If you're a Paramount subscriber, get rid of that shit and subscribe to us.
Get rid of that shit. Yeah. Give us your Paramount subscription.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. If you tell me you've canceled your Paramount subscription, I'll give you 75% off right now.
What a deal. You have to
And
prove
same
it to
thing
you?
with your Michael Cohen subscription. I'll give you 75% off. Just hit me up. Let me know. Send me a note. Subscribe. Let me know. Let me see your subscription, and I'll make sure I cut you a deal for life.
I'll cut you a deal too. We'll both cut you a deal. I must at 75%, but I'll give you a deal. Just cancel your, I don't want proof. Don't just say, hey, I did it. I want the bill. I want to see the statement saying it's canceled because everyone needs to be canceling Paramount while you're at it. Cancel ChatGPT. And make sure you subscribe to deanblundell.substack.com. And also, if you want to spend your money somewhere really important, groundnews.com is where you can get the best array of news from all sides of the political spectrum. The news from the left, the news from the right, with careful bias analysis and blind spots every day. And just for our viewers here at FiveStack, you get 40% off 40% off, which is a great deal. If you subscribe to groundnews.com at this website, groundnews.com/FiveStack.
Yeah.
Get 40% off right now on this great news service that we use every day to identify the top 5 breaking stories of the day.
And listen, kids, I was a client of Ground News prior to them coming on to being partners of ours. And I'll tell you something, when you send me notes, you're like, oh my God, this is incredible. Where'd you get it? It's always at groundnews.com/FiveStack, 40% off for your annual subscription. It is an incredible discount. And honest to God, they're like my pocket Sherpas when it comes to information. They can be yours as well.
I thought I was.
Groundnews.com/FiveStack. What? Huh?
No, they're great. I said I was your pocket Sherpa, but in reality, I also use Ground
you're my
News.
Epstein Sherpa.
So we all go to Ground News. That's our secret here at FiveStack. That's where we get the top 5 breaking news stories of the day. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you next time. See you Monday, Dean.
See you, buddy. Thanks so much. See you
Have a
guys.
good one.
Bye.
Bye.